Guyana's cutting-edge technology, Victoria Greens, is a 2,500 square meter hydroponic farm dedicated to producing a fresh assortment of leafy green vegetables, aromatic herbs, and crisp cucumbers with more high-value crops on its way. Hydroponics is a process that lowers labor intensity, which has increased due to climate change by removing the requirement for traditional soil cultivation.
Here at Victoria Greens, we would normally measure the EC and pH to ensure we don't add too much fertilizer or we don't have less fertilizer.
This type of farming supports plant roots with nutrient-rich water solution that optimize nutritional value, reduce pests and diseases, conserve water, offers space efficiency, and a faster harvest cycle.
And this is a seeding process. First, we enter the fertilizer into our tray. We fill each and every one up, and then we would bore some tiny little holes just to make the seed lay comfortable on the tray. After that, our next process is to put down the seeds. We have our seeding machine here with seeds about 36 seeds at a time. You throw your seeds in the tray and then you move it around, you move it around. Now the most important part of the seeding process is knowing how much seeds you need to add, especially for the different types of plants, because some plants you add 1 seed, some plants you would add 10 seeds. So you really need to know what type of plant you're planting and how many seeds you would need to add. You would place your seeding machine at the top here, and with one press of a finger, the seeds would fall into the channels, just like that. And as you can see, we already seed half of the tray here, full with seeds. Our next process now would be to cover it with manure, just a little bit so that the seeds won't be at the top. And after covering it, you would wet it a little. You don't want to wet it too much, you don't want to wet it too little, because if you wet too little, it doesn't grow. It just remains like this. If you over wet it, you develop mold, and mold will end up damage your crops. So after you wet it, you will take it to the scale. You turn on your scale and you weigh it. So part of Victoria Greens protocol is to always weigh the tray, especially after you've done soaking it, so that you don't have too much water or you don't have less water. As I said, too much water, you would create mold and that will destroy your crops. Too less water, you won't have anything growing, and that's Victoria Greens standard, to always weigh your crops so we always have rich and fruitful plants. We would weigh it about 3 to 4 grams, so we don't want it to be too heavy, we don't want it to be too light. After we weigh it, we would take it and we would rest it in our germination process.
We just completed the seeding area, we are on the germination. The purpose of the germination, keep the seeds in a dark and damp area, because each seed has its own course and its own time it takes to burst. From the germination, when the seeds finish the germination stage, we move forward to the nursery. This is the first step from the germination, as in the nursery stage. As the seeds grow, by time from the nursery to the primary, you can call this the primary section, we have very many varieties of different herbs, lettuces, etc., etc. We have some rockets, some lovely mustards, gargan, kale, a lovely pak choy, spinach, and dill and etc. From the stage of germination, we are here at the nursery area, where we consider the most important and foremost stage in the plant's life. Because why I must emphasize in such? Because different plants have different way of bursting. As if you were to put too many water, you can also kill the plant. You could also give the plant disease as fungus. If you also put a low amount of water, you can also endanger the plants. Also says that you must be very precise in the amount of water you put on the seedlings. From this area, you transport from the nursery, from the primary to the secondary, which is being transferred from the nursery to the channels.
Here I'll be conducting the planting process of the lettuce variety gogging. So let me take you now to the channels where these will be transplanted. Before planting, we need to ensure that the roots are well compact in the soil. It has been 3.5 weeks since these lettuce were transplanted from the nursery to these channels. It's time to harvest, and let me take you through the harvesting process. Upon harvesting, you remove the lettuce root by root, and you ensure you don't allow the soil to contaminate the leaves of the lettuce. We then move it here, where we will cut off the root. And doing so, we ensure that any damaged leaf or contaminated leaf with the soil, that is removed. After removing such, we ensure that they are neatly packed in the trays, not crushing them down because the lettuce is a very delicate crop. So we ensure they are neatly packed in an order in order to avoid them being crushed.
Here at Victoria Greens, our pop choy is ready to harvest. As you can see, they are about 4 weeks old. How we harvest is we cut the bottom, one straight, smooth cut, so we don't have any wrinkles, any damages or so. Next, we would examine our leaves to ensure there are no blemishes, there are no damages, there are no dirt or mold or anything. Any one that we discover has mold, we take them off and we look again and we pack them into our tray.
It is time for us to begin harvesting the basil. It has been 25 days since these basil were sown, and it spent about 1 week in the nursery, and it's been 2 weeks here in the channels. As you can see, they are ready to be harvested. When harvesting the basil, we can do it 2 ways. Upon removal from the channel, we ensure that the water runs out. Then we transport them to the baskets. Because these basil are at the age and they're large enough, we can package them this way in the baskets. We can package them in a standing way in the basket. Now, what we need to remember is that at Victoria Greens Hydroponics Farm, we ensure that all harvesting protocols are observed. Hence why we ensure that all the dirt and residue from our nutrient solution does not contaminate the leaves of our crop. Now that we have completed the harvesting, we ensure that our produce are ready for the market. And so this is how we prepare our basil and mustard for the market. This is the packaging which we use for the basil and the mustard. As we package them, we ensure that all of the dirt is completely off from the stems and leaves of the basil. It is critical that we ensure each container has 50 grams of basil. Also, when the container has been packed, we carefully allow it to be closed and avoid the leaves being crushed between the lids. Then we add our label, Victoria Greens, basil, packaged and ready to be transported to our customers. At Victoria Greens Hydroponics Farm, we ensure that all quality standards are kept, and we ensure that all of our processes are done on a highly sanitized way. Why we emphasize on our sanitation and quality is because we want to ensure that our customers receive the best crops and produce at all times. So sanitation is key 24/7.